Good morning, guys. Good morning. So yesterday, Advocate Sikhakhane launched his book, Odyssey of Liberation. Trust me, this is a book that I intend to read and finish no matter how busy I can get. Why am I so interested in reading this book? It is because I want to see how it talks to the future and how it reflects to the past that has brought us here. So he also said something very interesting, and that made me very emotional because this is something that I've been talking about, having seen how suddenly the AFRIFORUM has switched up on us, showing us the ugly. And he said, I know that half of you don't talk to each other. He said, you can forgive the enemy, but you cannot forgive yourselves. I invited you intentionally, knowing very well that you don't talk to each other. He said, many of you have spoken about you in the book. He even said, I was not supposed to talk, but I wanted to introduce former President Jacob Zuma myself, the person that I've represented so many times. I'm even called the Zuma lawyer. So I'm also going to show you, after watching that video clip of Advocate Sikhakhane saying these things that I just spoke about, I'm going to share the clips of the people that he brought there. And we were like, you know what? We need more of such events. We need more of such events. And I don't want it to talk to situations like, okay, we gather here together because we broke away from the ANC. Okay, I don't want those things. I just want to see the unity that talks to everyone that is supposed to be there. You know, sometimes I even get uncomfortable to say, bring the black people together. Because now I just feel like South Africa is so racially charged, you cannot address anything like that now. But because you see that AFRIFORUM has chosen a side, and I don't really see where the DA stands when it comes to that. I'm not feeling them. They are neither, according to the way I feel, they are neither hot nor cold. So I don't know how I feel about that situation. So I'm just going to focus on AFRIFORUM, who just came out and did what they did. And you realize, you know what, something is wrong. So that unity, the black unity that they've been talking about so much, this is a sample of it, something that we can follow. So as we talk about black unity, I need that black unity to bring in everyone. When I say everyone, including your Julius Malema, including your President Cyril Ramaphosa, like everybody. We sit under one roof and forgive each other's sins. And we move forward. We move forward in the purest form. And when I say we move forward in the purest form, I'm talking about our leadership, our leaders. Forget about chowing South African money. Just do something productive for the country that will cover us as black people with dignity and respect. That's what we need. So I've said so much. I need you to watch what Advocate Sikhakhane said, and then we are going to see the guests that were there, that you also see, and you realize there might be some tension there, some of the things that you don't know how really they got to a space whereby they are uncomfortable with one another, but you just know that there is some discomfort between those people. So let us hear what Advocate Sikhakhane said.
I wasn't supposed to speak. I won't be able to welcome you, but please feel free, feel happy. There are all sorts of people. President, I'm going to call upon now, Major Dean, my premier, my colleagues, Prof, judges. I don't mean you, Joe, the judge next to me. Friends and colleagues. It's very difficult to mention that each one of you represent what I write about. Literally, if you read the book, you will see this is a book about everybody. And it's not perfect, because I'm not, but it's a book about imperfection, about contradictions in society. I see Brady, judge himself from the African courts. I see all sorts of people. But I'm asked to introduce a man who brought misery to my life. Misery to my life, because all my clients bring misery to my life. And no one is called the cock lawyer, but I'm called the ZUMA lawyer. Because the man causes irrationality. For some reason, all revolutionaries cause irrationality. Yeah. And some of them don't speak to each other. People I called in this book, they don't. That's why I said something outside. I called him because I wanted to provoke some of you. Because the revolution for me is always that those who are oppressed can cannot tolerate each other, but can tolerate the oppressor.
Great.
And I want to force you for unity to be in the same room with people. Because the wars in the world are caused by our fear to confront things. Because we comply, we conform, and there's death in the world. And the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Ishmael are still fighting. Thousands of years later, because we don't know truth. And everybody who's here, I call them, not because my book is perfect, precisely because it's imperfect, written by an imperfect person, like you. And I want to remind you how many black people you hate when you can shake the cock's hand. How many of you don't speak to each other in this room, but you speak to apartheid killers? And so I thought, let me force you to be in one room as we rethink what we've done, what we're about. But anyway, Mr. Zuma, I'm called a ZUMA lawyer. And I wanted to introduce this man because I write about it in the book. There's actually part 3 in the book, which starts by the chapter called Zuma, the man you thought you knew. And many think I'm writing about him because I don't know his faults. I do, just like I know your faults. And I call it that because I think I want us to rethink how we judge others and how we judge each other. Because I've been disappointed about justice, that we think it's the exclusive preserve of people we like. When actually, it's the exclusive preserve precisely of those we don't like. Because our friends always get justice for us. So the test for justice is how we treat those we don't like, those we despise. And so I'm going to call the president to say a few words. I'm very grateful he came here. He's in the middle of a death in the family. He's going to a funeral of someone prominent in KZN, but he decided to come here today to greet us, and he leaves soon. And I appreciate the fact that he's here, and I've forgiven him for causing me trouble. Half of you here don't like me because of him. Hey, we never you cause trouble, and the trouble is because you are a mirror to most of us, and most people dislike you because they've forgotten their own crimes. They've forgotten their own faults. They've forgotten that they too, in fact, worse than you, have betrayed the cause. Most people who hate you, as I saw when I started representing you, it's people who've complied with capital, who've conformed with capital, who've been made and given shares in companies of our former colonizers, and they've become conformists. And I'm grateful that you came, and I've told people in that chapter, you're not a perfect man. No lawyer represents a perfect person. No one who's perfect walks into our chambers. You won't walk into my chambers to invite me when you get a Nobel Peace Prize. You will come in because you have trouble. And our job is to represent those you dislike. And this man called me in 2017 because everyone had left him, his comrades, and everybody. He was losing power. And my parents, my sisters know, we were taught not to look the other way when people need us, even if they are despised. And Dr. Mruti last week, sitting to my mentor talking, he told me I was his speech writer. But before I called the president, the priest talked about many things. I want to challenge all of you because you're going to be going to church. Why I represented this man and why I'm going to call him. You're going to go to church on the 16th, 17th, and 18th of April, Easter. And most of you will be celebrating the man who I'm sure his historicity we cannot doubt, even if you're not a Christian, he existed. Put on the cross next to him, a criminal, and on the left, another criminal. Freed is a thief whose name was called Jesus Barabbas. We are not told that his name was Jesus, but it was, take it from me. And from that day when the Jews called for Barabbas to be freed, the thief, we've been calling thieves to lead us from that day. We've been freeing Barabbas. We are led by thieves, we are led by conformists, we are led by people who betrayed us. And that's what you will see. We've been freeing Barabbas every day to this day. So please grace us with your message so that we can release you.
So these are the guests that were there that you kind of feel like, oh, okay, he was there too. He was there too. He just, Advocate Sikhakhane put together a cocktail of the people that don't really like each other much. So I'm going to read as it is, as I saw on Sizwe Mpofu's World's account on X. Dr. MBUYISENI NDLOZI in attendance at Sikhakhane book launch, and SACP General Secretary Solly Mampaila is in attendance at the Sikhakhane book launch. So and when you see this and you match it up with how they feel, the people feel with the current leadership of the ANC, you sort of put two and two together and like, oh, okay. But at the same time, I like what Advocate Sikhakhane is calling for unity, and that unity must include everyone. President Jacob Zuma has made an unexpected arrival at Sikhakhane book launch. You see? So what I'm saying is, if we have to have this forgiveness and black unity, as Advocate Sikhakhane said, he said we can forgive the apartheid killers, but we hate each other as black people. Let us bring everyone under the same roof. And this other one said, Caesar, you forgot President ZUNGULA at the back. So this means ZUNGULA was there too. You will remember that VUYO ZUNGULA is also calling for black unity as well, and he has agreed to work with MK in the next coming local government election. We see how that works out. Things are interesting in South Africa. Tokyo Sexwale is also at the Sikhakhane book launch this evening, lit. And President Jacob Zuma said something about Tokyo Sexwale. He mentioned him several times in his speech. So I'm going to share that video clip with you. And I'm going to try and shrink it so that it doesn't take much of your time. And also, impressive turnout spotted at the event. Limpho Hani, Advocate Ntsebeza, Justice Malindi, Advocate Batlenda and his wife Nasin Rajab, Batlenda and PANYAZA LESUFI. You see, PANYAZA LESUFI was there too. This caption was interesting for me from Susan. He said, apologizing to LESUFI for getting him in trouble after our interview on Susan Pofu. Well, don't. But get that his channel on YouTube. A hashtag Sikhakhane book launch. Hey, I will never forget this interview. It caused a stir. Still, that is a PANYAZA LESUFI. It really caused a stir. So you must apologize. And reading this one, we are on the ground at the launch of Advocate Muzi Sikhakhane's book, Odyssey of Liberation. Word on the streets, several political heavyweights will be in the audience on the program. So that's just a post by Susan Pofu. So they were there. You can see there. Can you see there? I see the person that I see very clearly is VUYO ZUNGULA. So it was interesting. So I'd like us to hear what former President Jacob Zuma said there. I'm going to cut it half so that it doesn't consume much of your time.
Thank you. Well, we'll excuse me because I did not know who is here, who is not here. So I won't call you a single name. I'll just say, hi. Tokyo. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, my brother, my lawyer. I don't have one lawyer, of course. I've got quite a few. I'm still going to have more. But I'm still going to cause trouble more. But thank you very much, Director of the program. Obami, just Gilale Luti, Lenzizwa, Ibale, Obamfepi Balimati. Nagwaza Pala, Nagwaza Mufunda, that's good. The reason why I came here was to be at this point where a book is being presented to the country, and I'm sure it will be read throughout the world. And I thought it is important to come and hear what is it that has been written by people who have gone through some experiences of dealing with people who are said to be prisoners or whatever in relation to that. Partly because I believe South Africa has a history of its own, not very much like many, for very serious reasons. We are the only country that started freedom fighting and was at the end of completing that process. We live in a country which has very unusual kind of behavior, but also tell a lot of stories in different ways. Very innocent people who have gone to prison, served many years, having committed no crime. except to say we want to be free in our country. Some die. Some stay in prison for decades, like our leaders, who were our best leaders ever. Best gentleman, if you wanted to. Lover of humanity. They had to stay in prison for many, many years. And it still continues, by the way. Perhaps in a more modern way. So I thought I should. South Africa. Don't talk. Don't look at me. I said, I'm going to do someone's mother, and I'm telling that. Oh, boy, yeah, right person. Tokyo, you want a terrorist to Sugar. And China Bible and Bazak, I think Baba Melwan, mine was to thank you, to stand up and tell the truth as you know it about what has happened in this country. And I wanted to be here with you. And I was happy to see many of comrades and friends. Abanye bantu comrade boti akasema manje ANC, no, I'm an ANC member. I will remain one until the end, but I will also be conversing. What a wonderful thing to say. Absolutely, I'm telling the truth. Why I say so, but I won't say it now, I'll say it later. But thank you very much. Our country is a very special country. I think it has undergone processes and processes and processes since the arrival of the whites in South Africa, and chose to have the biggest majority of white people in South Africa. No other place in the world except this country, for good reasons, because it stands in a very important part of the world, and therefore it makes everybody wants to come here and stay here, and it is good here. Once we are here, we realize that it's a wonderful country. All what is left in us is to be together and be South Africans, and not South Africans of different kind of thinking and everything. Just be South Africans. Some of us, when we joined the struggle, we were ready to liberate those who were oppressed in this country. And I think we did well. We did well. We did things that others did not do. We are the only country that signed an important international law that if you're fighting, if you catch the enemy, you don't kill. That's a law that we signed. It was signed by our president, one of the best presidents I've ever seen, Oliver Tambo. That led us to, in the war, as we're fighting for this country, not to kill those we caught, to imprison them, and following the law. One day, when I will have time to tell the story, I'll tell you how much we ended up with a problem that other countries did not. One of our presidents, the best as well, Nelson Mandela, went to president in Africa and said, we've just finished our war. We are inside. There is a problem. What did we do with people we arrested as informers or whatever you call them? He said, we came back with them, but we don't know how to handle that. We didn't know. So he said, what did you do, President so-and-so? I said, no, what are you talking about? No, we brought them at home. Now we said, what did we do? Because we are now there with them. He said, but what are you talking about? I said, no, informers. Then he says, sorry, when we came back our home, when we were being freed, we had not a single informer that we brought back. He said, didn't you arrest them during the war? Madiba asked. He says, no. We did not have food to give them. We did not have the place to put them. So we all got rid of them. So he said, as a result, when we came back, we had no problem where to put them. That was Mugabe. Responding to his friend. I'm saying this because we in South Africa, we've been a very unique country. I don't remember anywhere where there was a president like Tambo who signed that those that will be captured will not be killed. And he followed that very well. And it was correct. It was correct. Because it indicated how our hearts are in South Africa. When we're negotiating, I know many people criticize negotiating. One day, when I will be younger than what I am, I will write a huge book about it. Because our being South Africans has a special thing in it. Very special. We introduced what we call it, I heard people these days talking about, I'm sorry to others, I'm not offending, sorry. When we were negotiating, we knew this was a complex country with everything you can think of the world. And we needed to act as real human beings, as us. And agreed that we've been fighting for a long time, and there are many deaths and prisons and everything. And said, how do we bring peace to ourselves? And we believe that we needed to negotiate. There is a long story, by the way, that I'm going to write very soon now. Where we're saying, in order for us to accept that we want to have peace, we cannot just go for elections and have one of the parties leading the country when we are still all angry. We need first to govern this country together, all of us. And we introduced something that I hadn't heard of before, the one I had here. The government of national unity. It came as a result of saying, we who have been killing one another, arresting one another, let us sit together and be one country. And let us therefore, the first term, be governed by all of us. And we call it the government of national unity, uniting the nations in South Africa. What a wonderful thing. It was all related to peace. Let us bring peace, understanding, working together, being together in our country. And I think it was a very wise thing from wise people, our leaders in particular. Sengidala ntombazana semama njalo nje. Ngikhathazeke. Angiguli. But what I think we did not realize was that freedom can have different shades and whatever. I did not know at the time that we'd come to a point where we would not be able to reach the final end. We ended up standing somewhere before finishing everything. That is what has caused the problem today. One of the issues is the economy. Because the economy of the country remained not equal. The life remained not equal. And therefore, we ended up, during our freedom, becoming prisoners. And that's why I've got lawyers. Got one here, got one here. Now, my lawyers, they are many. Because I think I'm more of a wrongdoer. So, in the process of this, I think things moved away from where we thought we would move. And it is a fact. Painful to us who lost our comrades, who had people staying in prison, our leaders, for 20, how many years? 25? Except 2 were 26. The 2 friends. Then we ended up in a situation where we could have to write books like this. Because what we said we're doing it, but somewhere, somehow we do it this way and that way. I never thought I would one day say, I'm establishing a political party in South Africa after fighting for freedom. I now have it, and I'm proud of it. But I'm still a member of the African National Party. You say to me, I'm not, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Yes, absolutely. I spent my life, I spent my everything in the ANC. But I reached a point where ANC had changed. It was no longer what I know it to be. And I had to, as a soldier, do something. One day, somewhere, somehow, we'll be together. But thank you, my brother, for really sitting down, put the story in something that will remain forever. I think we still have one day to be honest to ourselves and sit together and talk. It will come once the conditions are better than other time. I'm sorry that I have to leave. I wanted to see my colleagues, my comrades, do you think it is difficult to reach a very good South Africa? It's not impossible. It is. I think your writing says to us, let us talk about what we know. Let us make ourselves better than what we thought we were. And we can make it. Absolutely. Waphuma ko-trainer e-Russia. Mina ngisibhanoi, ngambisa kaze ngamdriver. Usengena emotweni nabanye ocomrade. Uza la ekhawuzola simthumile. Abantu baphuma ucinga beswazini babanjwa. Wabanjwa. Ngihamba nama-comrade, my 2 or 3. Abantu amaphoyisa. Lo muntu omnyama lo muntu omhlophe njalo. Udriver nomlungu. Angithi lo uphethe isikhwama ufake itepi lapha esikhoneni. Uthi laba hamba nabo ngembosho mina ngagama nina yamshaya nje lo. Uphethe into lapha ikansala ukuthi igama la yini yazo yena. Bahlaba kushaya. He actually took out something which I bizana igama. Ngifuna ukwenza isigebengu. Ilokuzana ngashayisa lapha uvula umnyango. Why laughing? The young woman that went. You want to know Getting to Quincy. But I never will was in Abishwan. I'm keeping pictures up. Go Sabale got me on Sabas no Salah. The little selling land. Good people, sorry, I'm sorry that I'm going to leave now. But thank you very much for coming in this number. For me, this says we are going to do something about ourselves and about our country. There is no equality in our country. Those who were suffering in the past, some are suffering more than they did before. Yes. And you can't say what we did even fighting for freedom, we've made it better. Only better to the few, not we, the majority. We still have a role to play. Let us read the book and think back and try to be what we're supposed to be. We have a capacity to do so as South Africans. I know we are all wonderful and will remain wonderful. And I'm thanking you, my brother, to be brave and tell the story. I heard Tokyo, you made a contribution here. Funu la kumbona ukuthi usele yanto awuyi. Nomsushitshile mfana. Ngoba ngihambe nishintshi. Akwethu, ngiyaxolisa. Ukunomsindo vele bengizele nje ukuzobona abafowethu nodadewethu nama-comrade nonke mina ngokuqhubeka nje ngenze ezinye izinto ngethusa nangelinye ngisaze nethusa futhi ngingacabanga ukuthi ngisele thusa lokhu angibele niyangizwa maye babo siyabonga
If you watched up to here, thank you for watching my videos. And the next time you bump into my videos, kindly watch my ads in full. It really goes a long way, as that is the only option you can be supporting the channel for now. I will see you in my next upload.